Hello friends, and welcome back to the video lessons of the IMPACT IELTS.com. This is my 15th video for the listening part. In this particular video, I'm going to show you how to find the answers of the question type known as flowchart completion with a box. So, this is something different. Not many questions are asked like this. When you have got fill in the blanks type of questions and with options. What is a bit different about this type of question, however, is that this is one of the rarest type of questions where you will not listen exactly the same answer that you have to write as an answer. What I mean is that what you will listen is something different and you have to pick an answer from this given options. That means perhaps you will listen the synonym part of these questions and then you have to write by linking this particular answer to some of the words. To illustrate what you will listen in the audio, you will have to match that with the correct synonym from these options to write the answer. So let's start with the strategy. You all know that you will get 30 seconds time to go through the question. So what you can do in that time is you can go through the questions. If I talk about the strategy, I'll tell you the two types of strategy which can be used in this. First, go through all these words carefully when you get the time and then underline the keywords of the questions. And whenever that particular answers are given, immediately write the correct answer. That's approach number one. The approach number two is whatever is spoken, just note it down here. And once you finish all the questions, then you come back and then you can see what you have written here and which word or expression can it match. I'm here going to follow the approach number two. That means I will exactly notice what is being spoken by the speaker or the audio, and then I'll try to match it with this to get the final answer. So I'm going to play the audio and I'll show you that what you can do for the time given by the audio. Also, let me remind you again, this is question number 21. It means it had started just after section 2. That means you already have 30 seconds when they finish section 2 and again 30 seconds when they will give you time in that particular audio. So that 1 minute should be used in understanding the question and underlining this. So this is a bit challenging version and it has been taken from section 3. So now I'm going to play the audio and you have to see that how will I use that 30 seconds which has been given by the audio. So let's start the audio first.
You will hear two tourism students called Natalie and Dave talking about the tourism case study they are doing. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Now you can see here that what I listen for. I listen for perhaps the word articles, noting key information, and also what. And as I have told you that I will try to listen what it is saying and then try to match the answer. For you, I will pause every time and then I'll check the answer. What you have to do, however, you just write it down and in the end you will match with the answer. So let's play the audio again.
Dave, I'm worried about our case study. I've done a bit of reading, but I'm not sure what's involved in actually writing a case study. I missed the lecture where Dr. Baker talked us through it.
Okay, well, it's quite straightforward. We've got our focus. That's tourism at the Horton Castle site. And you said you'd done some reading about it?
Yes, I found some articles and made notes of the main points.
Did you remember to keep a record of where you got the information from?
Sure.
So he said, did you remember to keep a record? Where have you got the information from? So perhaps the record or keeping a record is the answer. If you go back, you can see matching. Keeping a record of where have you got this information from, it means he's talking about the sources. So sources will be the answer, but you will have to keep writing it, and you can do it in the end as well. So let's move to the second part. I have to technically fit this. Right. So my next question will be select interviewee. This may be site dash or city dash. So let's skip this.
You know what a pain it is when you forget that.
Okay, so we can compare what we've read. Then we have to decide on a particular problem or need at our site. And then think about who we're going to interview to get more information.
Okay, so who'd that be? The people who work there? And presumably some of the tourists too?
Yes, both those.
So he said people who have worked there or some visitors. Perhaps they will talk about this later on. So site workers is something that can be your answer. If you can go back, you can see site employees. So that's very similar to site workers. So you got your next answer. Then I'll keep listening to move to the next question. All right. So well, I have to find now the who is like cities. What is the connection of the next word with the city part of this?
Groups. So we'll have to go to the site to do that, I suppose. But we might also do some of our interviewing away from the site. We could even contact some people here in the city, like administrators involved in overseeing tourism.
So administrator is what he has said. So you have to go back, city administrator, and you can see officials. So you got your answer. So city officials is the next answer. If you move further, then you should immediately focus to your next question. Although they talk about this, what you have to see, check whether dash of interviews can be used. So what you have to always think like that. Once you answer the question, immediately take your mind off a bit the audio and go to the next question. Try to see what exactly they are asking for to check whether dash of interviews can be used. So let's see what interviews can be used or not.
Okay, so we'll need to think about our interview questions and fix times and places for the meetings. It's all going to take a lot of time.
And if we can, we should ask our interviewees if they can bring along some numerical data that we can add to support our findings.
And photographs?
I think we have plenty of those already. But Dr. Baker also said we have to establish with our interviewees whether we can identify them in our case study or whether they want to be anonymous.
Oh,
okay. So it is saying whether we can identify them in our interview or they want to be anonymous. If you know the meaning of anonymous, means somebody who doesn't want to be identified by the name. So with identification or not and anonymous are the word, you can see the answer is names. So check whether names of interviewees can be used or not. Once you answer this question, you immediately have to move to the next question. That is saying about the analysis part, that relevant information, try to identify what.
I wouldn't have thought of that. Okay, once we've got all this information, I suppose we have to analyse it.
Yes, put it all together and choose what's relevant to the problem we're focusing on, and analyse that carefully to find out if we can identify any trends or regularity.
So identify any trend or regularity, it said. Let's see, identify a trend patterns. You can say trend and patterns are same. So your answer is patterns. Identify patterns. And come to the last part of the question. He's saying that writing the case study gives some background before writing the main section. Do not end with what? Okay.
He's there. That's the main thing at this stage, rather than concentrating on details or lots of facts.
Okay, and then once we've analysed that, what next?
Well, then we need to think about what we do with the data we've selected to make it as clear as possible to our readers. Things like graphs or tables or charts.
Right.
Then the case study itself is mostly quite standard. We begin by presenting the problem and giving some background, then go through the main sections. But the thing that surprised me is that in a normal report, we'd end with some suggestions to deal with the problem or need we identified. But in a case study, we end up with a question or a series of questions to our readers.
So he's saying that normal reports are ended with suggestions, but here we don't have to. We have to end it with a question. So do not end with suggestions is perhaps the answer is. You can see solution and suggestions are both are the same. So that will be the answer. So do not end with solution. So you have got two ways. Again, let me recap. First, you can just read it immediately and match with the questions, and you have got that regional amount of time before you move to the next questions, or you can just write it down and in the end you'll try to match it with the question. You can check the answer also if you want. So here are the answers of the questions that we have just used. So you can check the answers. So that's the end of this particular type of questions. Thank you very much for watching this video. See you very soon in the next video. Bye for now.